There are stories that echo through the centuries not because they describe great kings or glorious empires, but because they reveal something greater, something eternal about the human heart. And one such story begins in a dusty valley between two armies, under a scorching sun, when a young shepherd faced a giant no man dared to confront. David was not a soldier, he was a boy with calloused hands, and a heart shaped by solitude and song. While others trained for war, he spent his days among sheep, the sound of wind and harp his only company. He had faced lions and bears to protect his flock, but never an enemy like this. Across the valley stood Goliath, his armor gleaming like the morning sun, his voice a thunder that made even seasoned warriors tremble. For 40 days, he mocked Israel, calling for one man brave enough to fight him. Yet fear had settled deep into every heart. Even the king, Saul, stood silent in his tent, haunted by doubt. When David arrived to bring food to his brothers, he heard the giant's taunts. He saw the army's fear, and something in him stirred, not pride, not foolishness, but a quiet conviction that no power on earth was greater than the one who guided him. He asked, "Who is this man that defies the armies of the living God?" His words seemed absurd, his courage misplaced. But courage is rarely understood by those who have forgotten faith. When David stepped forward to volunteer, Saul looked at him and saw only a boy. "You cannot go against this giant," the king said. "You are but a youth, and he has been a warrior since his youth." But David answered, "The Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will deliver me from this Philistine." They dressed him in armor that did not fit, gave him a sword too heavy to wield. David tried to move, but the metal weighed down his steps. He removed it all, and chose instead 5 smooth stones from a nearby brook. With a shepherd's sling, he walked into the valley of fear. Goliath laughed when he saw him coming. "Am I a dog," he roared, "that you come at me with sticks?" But David stood firm. "You come against me with sword and spear, but I come against you in the name of the Lord of hosts." And as the giant advanced, David ran toward him, not away, but toward. The stone left his sling with a whisper, and found its mark. The giant fell with a crash that echoed through the valley. One boy, one stone, one act of faith. The impossible had been done. Yet, if this story were only about courage, it would have ended there. But the real message lies deeper. For David's victory was not about strength or strategy, it was about trust. He believed that his purpose did not depend on what he had, but on who was with him. He did not measure his odds, he measured his faith. And that is the heart of the story. We all have our giants. They may not stand 10 feet tall, or wear bronze armor, but they loom just as large. Fear, addiction, failure, loss, loneliness, the feeling that you are not enough. These are the Goliaths that mock us, whispering that we are too small, too late, too weak to make a difference. And yet, like David, we are invited to remember what power truly is. Not muscle, not wealth, not status, but the quiet certainty that what is right, what is true, and what is guided by love, cannot be defeated. David didn't win because he fought harder. He won because he fought from belief. He had nothing but faith, a sling, and the memory of past deliverance. And sometimes, that's all we truly need. Here is a question hidden in this ancient story. When you face what seems impossible, where do you place your trust? Do you see only the size of the giant? Or do you remember the strength that has carried you through before? In life, courage without purpose fades quickly, but faith turns courage into destiny. David's story reminds us that the giants we fear are often the gateways to our becoming. That the very thing that seems undefeatable may be the test that reveals who we are meant to be. The battle may look different today. Your valley might be a diagnosis, a broken relationship, a world that feels too heavy to change. But the same question remains: will you stand frozen by fear, or will you step forward with the quiet strength that comes from belief? Sometimes all you have is one small stone, one action, one decision, one prayer. But when guided by faith, even the smallest stone can bring down the loudest giant. The world remembers David because he believed in something greater than fear. And perhaps, that is why his story still lives within us. A whisper, reminding us that giants fall not by might, but by trust. So, as the echoes of that ancient valley fade, I ask you, what giants in your life seem undefeatable? And what would happen if you believed, even for a moment, that they can fall? Because maybe the lesson is not that David was strong, but that faith made him strong enough. And maybe, just maybe, the same power waits quietly within you. This is Ancient Voices, where old stories remind us that the greatest battles are often fought within. Until next time, may you find the courage to face your giants, and the faith to see them fall.